Hello, kia ora, I'm Philip Duncan and thank you for joining us for our Friday update for May 26th. Well, we're tracking a fair amount of high pressure coming out of Australia on the way to New Zealand, but we've also got some low pressure this coming weekend. Next week, we see a fair amount of high pressure and westerly winds as well as the Southern Ocean gets fairly stormy, which is normal as we head towards winter, which by the way kicks off next week, at least on the meteorological calendar. Let's have a look at the animated wind map. This is for the end of Friday, New Zealand time, 4 o'clock if you live in Sydney. You can see high pressure out to the east near the Chatham Islands. That is driving in a northerly flow or northwesterly flow for many parts of New Zealand. So not overly cold, although it was a bit of a cold morning on Friday morning, but not an overly cold day ahead. Light winds for the North Island, saw fog patches around Waikato and Auckland, and you can see the big southwesterly flow coming in around Tasmania and Victoria, spreading up as a southerly. So that change, that southwesterly out here, is going to affect New Zealand over the days ahead, but it's not going to be overly stormy because we're seeing an uptick in high pressure. It's a little bit like we're starting to see the first signs of El Niño developing. So let's take a look at the rainfall. First of all, this is just for the next 2 days from Friday morning. Pretty much nothing for the North Island, although a few showers up here around the far north. Further down the west coast, that's where the heaviest rain will be. So heaviest falls here, where there could be over 100 millimetres coming through over the next couple of days, but only a few showers or spits making it to the eastern side. And over in Australia, just seeing those storms in the Southern Ocean clipping the southern areas, not a huge amount of rain, the most over here on the western side of Tasmania, but dry right across a large portion of Australia. And that's due to these very big high pressure zones, which are increasing. And we're seeing more of them, not only in size, but they're increasing in their the number that we're seeing sort of each week, and they're connecting up a lot more than they were just a month ago. So that means we're likely to see longer dry spells, and the more that we start to see high pressure pushing out into the Tasman, the lower the chance of lows like that forming in between them. So we've got a high out to the east, a high out to the west, a low stuck in the middle here on Saturday. It's not going to develop too much, and there's a northerly flow, so quite mild to begin with. By the time we get to Sunday, the low is being squashed between the two highs. The incoming one from Australia is moving into the other one stuck here near the Chatham Islands. It's not moving very quickly. So because of that, the low can't expand in size. So it's not going to get any bigger. But there's a burst of wind and some rain on Sunday, or it may just be some showers depending on where you are. But those winds will be mild for this time of the year, and windy westerlies with showers around Melbourne and towards parts of Tasmania. One last thing, look at the size of this low down here. Normal as we head into winter to see these big, deep, low pressure zones. But the air pressure, 933, we've seen 932 as well, versus 1034. So that's over 100 hectopascals difference. The size, the distance between these two, about 3,000 kilometres. So that's around about the same distance as Perth to Sydney. Let's have a look at the rainfall coming in from Sunday. So there's another burst of rain here. This is the 3-day rainfall from Sunday morning. I'll show you the heaviest falls down here on the west coast, over 125 to 150 millimetres coming down there. Around the Nelson Ranges, around 60, 70 millimetres, and around places like Kawerau and parts of Bay of Plenty, 70 millimetres or so. So that is from Sunday morning for the next 3 days after that. If you want to make more sense of this, please go to our website or just take a look at your local rainfall forecast from us. So next week, northerly winds to begin with, turning more westerly as the day goes on. Northerlies up here, westerlies for the South Island with some rain on the west coast. A mild day if you live in the east. On Tuesday, check out the high over Australia, basically smothering the whole country. This is what El Niño looks like. More and more of these highs. If you live inland, Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland, you'll be noticing it's drying out. Even coastal Queensland and coastal New South Wales showing signs now of drying out. But we've still got these northerlies coming in with rain like you see here on Tuesday, rain on the western side. So until we get high pressure further out into the Tasman, that's, I think, when we'll start to see more chatter about El Niño being locked in. And then our final map for next week, Wednesday, see this high pressure zone? That's exactly what I was talking about, moving out more towards New Zealand. And when they do that, shuts off low pressure zones forming in the Tasman. And it also stops a lot of tropical systems from forming. And if they do form, they tend to go further to the east of New Zealand. So this could be a bit of a precursor to what we're going to be seeing with El Niño in the months ahead. Also, one last thing, check out the low around Perth. A little bit of rain for you around the middle of next week. That's all from me. We'll see you again on Monday. Our video on Monday may be a little bit later. It might be into the afternoon. Don't be alarmed if it's just a little bit late, but we are back on Monday. Have a great weekend.